this recording I'll show you a stairwell with multiple floors with landings. So when we start a new project, we can put in the project parameters. Then we can use it for the printouts. Here we can put the height. This is the finished floor to finished floor height. And this information I can find already on the paper. I can name it. This will be the basement. So there are options to create a floor opening from a wizard, but this example has a special shape, so I use the help lines to make the outlines from the floor opening, and I can just snap to those lines. So I make here the width, and I see what the length is. So the dimensions that I can find on the paper I am now putting in here, and then I can use these later and I can check. This one is in the lower left corner, you see the dimensions, 19 inch 43.5, so you can double check once you made the help lines if they are correct and if you need to change something. So now we can use these help lines to start creating a floor opening. As you can see, you can just snap to the different intersection points, and this is a shape that I think it is because I'm looking at a sketch and I see I made here a mistake, so I just take those points, I move this down, and I take this point and I move it up, so I assume that this is approximately the floor opening shape what I see now on the sketch next to me. So now we will start drawing some walls. Again, I just snap to those intersection points and I have where I think the walls need to be according to the sketch, and we go and look in 3D, and we see the floor opening and we see the walls, and we will now start putting in the stair. So we create a stair. We can choose which stair wizards we want, which shape, and then we can start editing the dimension. So the dimension is taken from the floor opening, but because we have an irregular shape, I might need to change some measurements to make sure that it has the correct shape. And when I set the run to a different shape, I can put also the lengths. When I put in a run, then Staircon will calculate for me the lengths. So we place the stair, and now we can start editing it according to the shape we want to make it. So here I am in the properties of the stair, and I can say that I want to have a specific run in the beginning, and you see that my stair is adjusting accordingly. So here we see it in 3D, and as you see, everything is still straight, so we want to make it curved, but this is the start. So I will take the midpoint from this. I see the length, so when I know the total length, obviously I divide it by 2, and then I know that this is a radius of 6.5. And minus means that it goes inside the stair, plus would mean going outside the stair. So you see already elevation, everything is already done. And if I look in 3D, now the straight is converted into a curve. Here we want to make bullnose threads. So I click on the threads and I say I want to have it a parameter controlled only on the left side, so I uncheck the right. So we can choose from pre-set up bull noses, but in this case the sketch show a different shape, so I start playing. I don't have measurements really on it, so I just try out some measurements to something that looks like it. So I gave it a radius in the front, and it looks similar to what I saw on the sketch. Now we want to make also here a fascia on the floor opening. So we click on the property and I can put a thickness for the fascia. I want it to line up with the stringers, so let's check. The stringers are 1 inch, so I want to change this, and for now I make it the same thickness. I also see that the corners are not square, so I click on it, I make a fillet, and I choose a radius, so then it makes a nice fillet, and I chose the same radius what I did with the other one, so I have to change it that it's the same radius, so most likely it will be also in reality the same radius, that everything looks the same. I select now all the stringers and I push Ctrl R, which made automatically some stringers on it. I could also have started with a model that has already balustrades on it, but I started with stair without, and I see that I want to have a starting newel, and I want to have maybe some different balusters. So these things, if you don't have it yet in the database, you still have to add it. So in this example I don't have yet the handrail and the cap and the newel, so I will do that in a minute as well. What I first will do is to make some copies. So this stair I see on the sketch that also on the, not only in the basement but on the first floor, is a similar stair. So I don't have to start from scratch. I will just copy this floor and I paste it up. The only thing I am now checking is the height of that floor, because the basement has a different height than so now you see that we have 2 stairs already. And I change also the name, then it's going to be easier, not twice basement, but this is the first floor. And now I start changing these properties of the stair to have also the proper threads in the first and the second flight, and then I can change that and apply. Looking back in 3D. So now we see it's getting longer, so the floor opening needs to be changed. So I take this floor opening from this point to the end of the stair. So now the floor opening has changed, and let's check in 3D. And now we see that it's nicely fitting. So now I create the balustrade on the floor, and StairCon tries to find where there is an open balustrade and where there is no stair end. In this case I want to have it only at this space, and again this example I didn't yet made the newels and the handrail, so this is just a random balustrade, so it doesn't have the correct offset. If you set up the database with your own model and you have a specific offset, what you typically use on the balcony, then it would directly line up. So in this case I want to make my stair ends going with a curve towards this, and I want to have this line up, so I measure here what offset I have to give it. I just go in this now manually and I say this balustrade has that offset that it's lining up towards the balusters. I think I didn't select it correct. I have to select them, properties of this balustrades, and you can see even if I fill in something I can also say apply, and you can see it moving. So what I actually was measuring before was 1 inch and 3/4, so let's see if that is, and now you see it is actually fitting. So in 3D looks already lined up. I only have to change my stair ends. So here's my stair, and I look at the stair ends, and I can also set it up in the database, but in this case it's not in this model, but I say here at the stair ends it has to be at 38, and I make it a little bit longer, apply, and now you see that it made automatically that continuous handrail, and I make a radius of 12 inch, and now you see it's nice connected. Again, it's not yet the balusters or the newels, but we will make that in a minute. Because the floor was open on the back, StairCon also tried to make something here automatically, so I don't need that, so I'm just deleting it. Okay, let's look back in 3D, and now you see that we have 2 stairs, and this first balcony is ending there, and we just will put there an end cap and a newel post, I assume. Here you see the shape of the handrail that we would like to add to the database. So I draw already the lines according to the sketch that I have. I say create a 3D file. I can give it a name, and that is saved. So the next thing is clicking on the lines that are the outlines from the newel. Also these I already was drawing now. I select them. I say all of these are cylindrical, so that means that it's gonna be round, and we can also see here already in the preview that these will be round as soon as we save them as a 3D file. So this will make from a 2D drawing directly a 3D. So I select them, and once I have selected all these lines, which already have some extra info that it's going to be cylindrical, I say save 3D file, and in this case it's not a 3D H from handrail but a 3DP from baluster or newel post, because those have the same file names, and I can give it a radius or diameter, and then we will save it. And once we save it, okay, it is available as a 3D file. Again, we give it a name, and that is it. So now we will go here and make a new line. We give it a name. We take the 3D file. We will put in the dimensions. So basically, I am looking now at the dimensions on the sketch, and it has a width and it has a height. Okay. So we also have here some examples that are already in the standard database, but now we will add this metal newel. Again, take the 3D file. We say what kind of newel it is, an over the post or a post to post, and we can also put in the dimensions based on what I found on the drawing. So we made a 3D file and we now added it into the database. So from now it's available inside StairCon. So I already selected in the beginning and the end of the stair that I want to have a newel post, and I just selected the one that we just made. And I also made an end gap, so I can put it on top of the newel posts. So here we see it in 3D, that when you have a post that is an over the post, it makes the up-easing automatically, and I said on top of it I want to have this ending. So that looks better. I also selected all the balusters and I just manually changed it to round and made them all black, as you can see. So now I will copy again a floor and I will paste it up for the third floor. I have to find the right height from the last floor. I will not forget this time to put in the name of that floor. So I have now 3 floors. I can also change the landing height to what it needs to be, and again I can change in the properties of the stair. So now we will edit the start from the stair. I click on the newel and I just push delete because we don't have that. We have a continuous handrail, and also this starting threads I don't need, so I delete that. And like I said, in the properties of the stair we will change how many run and rise we need, and once that is applied we see until where the stair is going, where it will start. So with 1 thread less I see that it's actually much back, and I see that my floor opening looks a little bit big. So if I see here, you see this has already the railing on it because I just copied it from the other one, and here you see the railing from below, which is not fitting for the railing here because this is longer. So I will start moving this around, and to make also the starting to be curved. So we see this one, we want to change the shape, and we will also start changing the floor opening based on this shape. So what I show here is I put in some help lines and I will break it. So here you see functions, we can split stringers and floor opening sides to make the shape what we want, so that we have more points. In this case the stringer I start moving, and instead of having it straight I want to have it curved. I take the other balustrade to make it shorter, and this one gives a radius, and maybe I want to move some things to have it to line up better. So I can select it and I can move these points in order that they are lining up. So I pick a point, say these 2 points move, I select from here to here, and I see it's now selected. So also here on the top I say 12-inch radius, that it's nice smooth, and then we look in 3D. Oh, we do the other one as well. Make a radius of 12. So here you see that we can do manual editing of the floor opening based on the stair length, and also we need to change some of the shape of the floor, the balustrade on the floor. So we have here the ends, I said it has to be on 38, but this side from the stair I need to make up. I put here a help line already of 38, so I make sure that my balustrade, my handrail, is following a nice curve, so I can play around with this. I can have more points and it's making like a spline that I can make a nice smooth curve. And once I have made a smooth curve here in an elevation view, then it will make also a nice connection. So this is for the ascending start, but you can do this for any part of the stair, to pick these points and to move them, to pick 2 points and 3rd points to make it straight with a tangent radius. So we have much of nice options to choose from to make this nice and smooth. If you put in a help line like I do here, I can also snap to specific points and say between these points I want to have straight, just that you can see that we are very flexible, moving points around and making a shape that you think will be nice flow. And obviously when it's looking nice here in elevation view, it will look great in 3D. So here you see I have to update the balusters. You see that they're still too short, so I have to say recalculate balusters, and then they get the correct length. But you see that the handrail is nice flowing, and we only need to make sure that the top floor has a balustrade. And again, that is something that we have to create, and that floor I have to make. So this is the last floor. I see the floor below, I say create automatically. StairCon looks where the floor opening is, and obviously I don't have walls, so it's all around, and I just select and delete the things that I don't need. And like before, this is just not yet in the database, so that's why I just will delete some parts and manually change this to give it the correct handrails. So this has another handrail, that one that we just entered. The offsets, we changed that before, so I go to the properties of the balustrades in a minute. I change this. Balusters, I just manually change it now. I just say all of them are round and they are black. So if you don't have it in your database but you want to just change it on the fly, you can do that, as you can see here. And here's the minus 1.75 offset, so it's now lining up with the rest of the stair. And the height, we also most likely have to change that to make sure that it's lining up. And this straight part was not needed because my stair ends has it already. So let's look in 3D. And yeah, like I said, you see that the height, there's a height difference. The stair ends at 38, and when we would go to the properties of this balustrade in a minute, you see that it's going to be smaller. Now I click from point to point to add some walls and the height of the railing. So this is how it looks in StairCon. You see that all the things are connected, and with file exports to SketchFab, it comes into SketchFab, and you can zoom into everything, and you see that I changed some pitches on the stair, the transitions, so that the one above I made horizontal, and as an example the first one I made more smooth, so you see that the curve here from the railing is going a little bit different, just as example that you see that you can change these shapes. So this was my overview of how I made this stairwell. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.